Obviously we're not going to say, hey, how the fuck So why do people change around others? Are we being fake? Or are we being adaptable? Keep watching for my real raw take on the science of psychology. Social psychology is a scientific study of how thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of individuals are influenced by the actual, imagined, and implied presence of others. People tend to be like chameleons. We often change our colors when in crowds or differing people. We are not necessarily being untrue to whom we are, so long as we stick to our core beliefs and core values. We, I believe, mostly do it unconsciously without even actual realization. Most people we interact with on the daily are different, so we adapt to fit the conversation. We don't necessarily change whom we are when we modify tendencies and behavior amongst varying people. We are still ourselves, but we all have different facets to our personalities and the capability to bring out these different facets dependent on whom we are conversing with. Obviously, some people are fearful in presenting their truths, so they present behind a mask that shields whom they really are. Their inauthenticity shielded by false representations of what lies beneath, but this is not the same. This does not mean that when we are showing diverse aspects of ourselves dependent on whom we are around that we are too being inauthentic. It simply means that different people will bring out different sides of our personalities, whether we bring them out consciously or unconsciously. Obviously, we're not going to say, hey, how the fuck are ya, to someone we've just met. We will typically present more cautionary around strangers or those we've yet formed bonds of trust with. Me personally, much to most dismay, I'm actually really shy when I first meet someone, especially if out of my domain or comfort zone. But I am completely bold and outgoing once I've formed that bond and connection. This is where my fun-loving, smart-ass side will come out. If it's suited to the company I'm keeping, I mean naturally. Amongst those who know me or have known me, you may get differing opinions on my personality, and I think this stands for most people. Those who have been good to me and have shown me I can trust them will most likely tell you I'm happy-go-lucky and a good friend. Those who have hurt me, those who have wronged me, those who I've fallen out with in some way will most likely tell you I'm an arsehole. Who others are or how others are that know or have known us will, I believe, definitely be the determining factor in how we are. Anyone that calls us an arsehole, if more people typically refer to them as being the arsehole than they would about us, and the odds are that person is probably the arsehole. Our attitudes will always change depending on our closeness and fondness of people. I personally cannot fake liking someone, because in places of employment and such, that is a prerequisite of the job description. As with social situations, that doesn't mean I would welcome them into my home. In everyday life, it doesn't necessarily mean I'd be rude to someone, but it sure as shit means I wouldn't go out of my way to kiss their ass either. Let's just say my mother and my husband are often kicking me under the table if they can see me becoming intolerable of someone, as I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve. And anyone who knows me or has watched my videos know I call a spade a bloody spade too. Plus I have the social decorum to know when to be mindful of this and when to let the guns go a-blazing. My forthright personality will often change how others interact with me. People often don't like someone that is candid and upfront, especially those who fear what people like us may say. Typically those hiding behind a mask of deception. Then others will love someone that shoots from the hip. They appreciate knowing where they stand. And in my experience, this is the secure people who don't expect others to put on airs and graces around them. There is seldom a middle ground with me. People often love me or loathe me, and I'm pretty okay with that. There are definitely those that treat others differently due to their ideals on social class or standing. The kinds that will treat those of esteem greater than those they consider not of the same caliber. Those who consider themselves upper crust and will only hobnob, mingle with those of an even keel. Sometimes they have affluence and good social standing, and other times they are full of shit and just want to appear as if they are. They don't want to associate with their concept of mere mortals, common riffraff. My understanding of social psychology and what studies have shown is that people often behave and change around differing people and for differing reasons. Some people are social, some people are antisocial. When you put an extroverted person with an introverted person, the outgoing person may tone it down for the comfort of the quieter person. The quieter person may even be coerced to come out of their shell some to somewhat meet the other person halfway. People will often insinuate that anyone behaviorally versatile is fake, and how the consideration that adapted behaviors is a skill of the individual. Like the chameleon can change colors, so too can the behaviorally versatile change to fit people and environments. It is a strength, not a weakness, to be able to adapt accordingly. It is human nature to read our environments and people within. Give me a boom if you agree. In my belief, it would only be those with lesser emotional intelligence that could not adapt accordingly to a new social group or circumstance. Of course, we are going to be completely different if we host a party with our friends than if we attended a party of one of our friends and were thrust amongst their family and friends. Changing our behaviors until we have read the room and developed somewhat of an inkling of the personalities within. It is a safety mechanism in being socially acceptable. Subtly toning down our personality is always wiser until we have read the environment we are entering into. Obviously, we want to be comfortable, but we want others to be comfortable around us too. We may find swearing and dancing like nobody's watching a big fuck yeah amongst our own friends, but it may also be a big fuck no amongst somebody else's. This does not mean we are changing whom we are or being fake. It means we are being respectful and adapting to those around us as opposed to expecting those around us to adapt to us. Changing our approach opens up a whole new world of possibilities and friendships, so long as we are not expected to change our beliefs and values. Pretend to be something we are not to please and appease others. Toning ourselves down to adapt to differing personalities is a skill that can only pay off. Only when we allow others to contradict our beliefs or go against our moral standing to fit theirs are we being fake. Hypocrisy comes when we stand for one thing around one group of people and then the complete opposite around another. Take swearing, for example. Yes, I swear, but I certainly know when not to. But on the same token, I wouldn't look down my nose on anyone who didn't. I may think, dude, wrong place, wrong time, but I wouldn't judge them for it. Even if everyone else in the room did, they'd not sway me because I do not believe someone swearing in general to make a point demeaning of their character. I find someone socially swearing at someone in aggression to make a point demeaning of their character. I think the social psychology of people comes into play when one acts a certain way in front of others but feels another, or when one changes how they behave towards us privately than openly. This is a fake as fuck person best left back before. But if one that shoots from the hip is more reserved with their truth so as not to hurt another person's feelings, then this is not fake. I consider this as good social skills. If our own friends acting like a tosser, the odds are we're going to tell them. But if someone else's friends acting a tosser, we're probably not going to tell them on first meeting. It's rude to be forthright, opinionated, or bold to anyone who's not asked for our opinion on anything that's not our business. So in this circumstance, someone who's straight up may tone down that aspect of their personality. As one, it's not their place, and two, it's not what they're about. You're not feigning to be somebody else by occasionally being a tad socially deceptive. We are feigning to be somebody we are not by presenting our character in a deceptive manner. If we cannot stand the sight of someone, but we are thrust into a social or professional situation where we have to be polite, this makes us emotionally mature, not fake. Even if only 2 seconds before we told our friends we cannot tolerate the annoying as fuck gronk, and we then have to exchange pleasantries. That's what emotionally intelligent people do. Only a numbnut would throw a drink in said gronk's face and walk off in a triumphant huff. In such environments, we have to withhold certain aspects of whom we are. It's different with friends because these are our people we should be able to be completely ourselves around. I think people who may have known us a few years ago would most probably have no sense of whom we are today, as we are forever evolving forever changing. Most of us grow, mature, and learn from past mistakes and guard ourselves from the kind of people we found out were a wrong fit for us. Some people don't want to let us grow or change because they themselves have remained stagnant. They are on a much lower vibration, so thus they try to keep us down with them. When we form social groups, we are often drawn together by similar interests, likes, and dislikes. So it's only natural when we are in several social circles, we will act according to the circle and the interests we are at that time in. Each group only sees certain facets of our personalities, or maybe varying. This does not mean any ingenuous, just adaptable. Is there ever really a real you or me? Or are we forever exploring and finding new facets of whom we are and the interests we evolved to become drawn to? What we love today will probably become a complete contrast to what we love doing in a few years. Not for all, but for many of us, we will have discovered new things, new adventures, and with those typically comes new people and different sides to our personality. Every single person, every single connection, every single experience has culminated to make us whom we are today, and our true selves will forever be unfolding, developing. Everyone cannot understand our every single trait or idiosyncrasies, nor do they deserve to. Who and how we represent to each and every person on this earth we meet or interact will undoubtedly be dependent on whom and how they are. When we have flexibility in our social skills and can forever adapt to our ever-changing environment, this is who we are and does not get to be torn down by those who do not have this capability. It would be ignorant to think that we could treat every person and every situation from the same approach. This, I believe, would create fucking havoc. We all like to feel connected to others and thus may unconsciously find ourselves mimicking others' mannerisms. Human nature to want to belong, to fit in. So therefore, often without realization, we have strategized a blending mechanism. I also think that common sense is like a warning beacon that sees us read the room and situation before we even speak. I often like to sit back and analyze, take in everything about everyone when in a foreign environment, especially one outside my comfort zone. As with every encounter differing, so too will how we present ourselves. They say each of us has three masks. The one we show to strangers, the one we show those close to us, and the one only we ourselves see. Social acumen is something the emotionally mature will always present, as with situational acumen. To fit in and be accepted depending on where we are and who we're with. We all have to put on a different mask and play out a differing aspect to our personality. We wouldn't get very far in life if we didn't know when to be completely relaxed and when to put our guard up. When aspects of our personality are appropriate by social norms and when they'd be deemed inappropriate. I think we are closest to who we are when we feel at one with another person. When we do not feel as though we have to keep parts of our personality held back or reserved. If you see that side of us that is kept for those closest to us. This is why some people are our people and others are not. We don't always withhold parts of our personality because of whom we are. Most often we hold back parts of our personality because of whom they are. We want others to feel comfortable, and if this means withholding parts of our personality that may make others uncomfortable, then this is our character and nothing more. So long as we are not suppressing whom we are or changing whom we are for the comfort of others. And then adaptation where appropriate is just a part of being socially adept. We must always ensure we don't lose ourselves in whom we are to suit those around us. And more so, find more aspects of ourselves in the diversity of the people around us and more diversity in the aspects we are capable of discovering. Let me know in the comments if you find yourself changing around others and your view on social psychology. You enjoyed this video and would like to see more on personal growth with a dash of comedy thrown in. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss my next one. If you'd like to see more, I'll link my playlist below. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Break out of your shell, meet me halfway.